Hey everyone, list review time. I have gotten an email from Tankerbricks and he sent me his Defense of Norway list, which confused me mightily. I was very confused about that one. I'm not very familiar with the Defense of Norway theatre selector, but apparently it's one where you can use both French and British and Norwegian units. So let's go and see what that does. And he is building a 1500 points list, 23 order dice, 23 order dice at 1500. I think this is more or less what you need to do at that point level. Um, you need to be above 18 in my book if you're at 1500 points. Um, to be competitive. But again, the game becomes a little bit wonky at that high point scores because a lot of the stuff that we expect from 1,000 point games simply doesn't really pan out it like we're used to. So um, the first one, and he's using EC Army to build it, but he's doing a little bit of a wonky back and forth using French platoons and other platoons to build it. I know. So he's using a first lieutenant, regular with an extra man. I think if you're going to run a regular lieutenant, and if you're going to use a first one, that means that you're going to have some sort of snap 2 shenanigans going on. Then I think you should at least run him regular, and I think you should have an extra man with him, possibly even two, because he becomes vulnerable, and it's a lot of points to sink into that snap 2 action. Then we have infantry. We have one with a VB launcher and a light machine gun. I don't understand that combination, I have to say, because the VB launcher is 6 to 18 inches, so that is a skirmish thing. You're wanting to be pretty close to your enemy. You're wanting to be at least like up to the center of the board ish. But the light machine gun is a standoff thing. So for me, that's a combination. I wouldn't run that. One thing is, I would never run light machine guns if I could help it. I don't think they're worth it points for value. But that aside, I still think that you can run light machine guns, especially if you run them as your backline holders. But a backline holder infantry unit doesn't need to have a VB launcher. So for me, that this is sort of in betweens, where I don't really understand the role of the unit, and maybe if they are meant to be both skirmishers, which possibly they are, I think you could get away with cheaper skirmishers, and cheaper is always better because that means you've got more points for other stuff. Then we have a medium mortar with a spotter, perfect, that works well. A sniper, regular. A boy's anti-tank rifle, you're going to have to use that, early war and all that. You're going to need that anti-tank capability, and possibly it won't be enough for most of your games. Double light anti-tank guns. I'm not a fan of anti-tank guns. I think you should go howitzers all the time. But I do understand the allure because you're early war, you haven't got anything else to deal with tanks. So there's an argument to be said for bringing those. The Renaults are perfectly fine little tanks. They are they can be very expensive, and this version it's 125 points for an 8+ one-man turret, armored all around, slow tank. So there are benefits and detriments to this tank. The main detriment is that it's not very killy. It's only got one weapon system it can fire, and that is a problem. A utility truck, which I guess is for the anti-tank rifle. Okay. Then we have a Norwegian army group here, platoon. We have a second lieutenant again. This is a regular one. The first one was a first lieutenant. A regular second lieutenant with an infantryman. If you can get away with it, I think you should run him inexperienced instead, just to save the points. Again, light machine guns on the infantry. One of the units is a Norwegian Royal Guard. They're veteran. I don't think they're worth it. This is just a skirmish unit. They're going to skirmish like the infantry section right before them, and they cost 24 points extra, and are not that much more survivable. So I'm not especially a fan of your setup of your infantry tanker breaks. This is what I would do. So 6-man rifle unit. That is a good skirmish unit, and that's 60 points. That look at what you're saving. That's how I would run my skirmishes all the time. 8-man veterans, yes, you can, because they are a good push unit. They can push up and go down on an objective, and they'll survive. And then a 5-man infantry section. I think this should be a 6-man infantry section, because they're just that much better skirmishers. MMG team, never take these unless unless you're playing with certain restrictions that allows you to give extra pins with your MG teams. Medium mortar with a spotter, perfect. Love the medium mortars, double medium mortars. This is becoming really hard, right? And another sniper, double snipers as well. So that's a lot. That's 2 anti-tank guns, 2 medium mortars, 2 snipers, and then a howitzer, light howitzer, and double barbed wire sections. These are also really good. If your event allows you to play around with these, you can do a lot of board control with barbed wire. A lot. It's really cool. And a truck. 3 trucks. I don't know what is supposed to go in these. There's nothing in the list that actually needs the truck as such. Although you could argue that the guns might use them for transport. It's not really needed. Right. Tankerbricks, thank you so much for sending me this very unusual list that had me crunching my mind because I had no idea what was going on. Thank you so much. It was cool to see a Norwegian list for once. Cheers.